We've got new information about Kadarius Toney's knee injury, plus highlights and everything you need to know from Chiefs training camp day 3 up in St. Joe on today's KCSN Update presented by DraftKings.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome into today's KCSN Update. I am Tucker Franklin here, getting you up to date on everything you need to know going on with your favorite football team, the Kansas City Chiefs, on day 3 of training camp up in St. Joe. Let's go ahead and kick it off. I'm not going to delay. I'm not going to wait any longer. Let's talk about the biggest news of the day, and that is the recent news that Kadarius Toney had knee surgery to clean up his torn meniscus, a partially torn meniscus, but a big enough injury for the Chiefs to say, hey, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up right now while we're in training camp. An injury he suffered just minutes into practice on the very first day for the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you want the full timeline of everything that happened, I broke that down on yesterday's KCSN Update video. You can go check that out over here up in this corner. I'll throw a little card up there. You can go check that out if you want to learn a little bit more of the timeline of how everything happened with the report of Kadarius Toney. But let's get into the recent news as Andy Reid took to the podium to kick off press conferences today. Here's what he had to say about Kadarius Toney's injury.
Kadarius had surgery on his knee this morning for cartilage, and it should be relatively quick as we go here. He wanted to get that thing taken care of.
Doesn't sound good, but the Athletic's Nate Taylor was all over this story as he sent out a couple of tweets during the press conference, kind of getting some clarity from Andy Reid on what actually went on with Kadarius Toney in that knee injury. First tweet Nate Taylor sends out is Andy Reid on Kadarius Toney's recovery timetable. There's a chance he's available for the first game against the Lions. We'll just see. He's determined that he's going to be there. I'm pulling for him. And moments later, he sent out another tweet that reads, Andy Reid just shared that Kadarius Toney damaged the meniscus in his knee when he tried to change directions after catching a punt just minutes into Sunday's practice. Now, I know some people were a little bit upset that he got injured on special teams returning a punt, but this is a warm-up drill for them. The guys will go stretch, the linemen, the defense, the specialist, but a lot of the guys who return punts and have some special teams background will go back, catch some punts off the jugs machine. It's not like he was actually in a special teams drill. Just tweaked his knee during a warm-up, which isn't good when you start to look up and down this Chiefs wide receiver room. A little nerve-wracking, you could say. But Kadarius Toney sent out a tweet of his own where he said, when you a warrior, none can stop you. Been fighting through old injuries, adversity, and obstacles all my life. I know God got me for show. Red heart emoji. So Kadarius Toney battling back through this injury. Very disappointing, I'd say, from my personal perspective on this. Really want to see him take that jump, take that step forward, especially coming off a year where, listen, the last taste we have of Kadarius Toney is a very sweet taste of Kadarius Toney scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl, also setting them up to score a touchdown and taking the lead in the Super Bowl as well on special teams. A guy back there that the Chiefs were kind of hoping to rely on when it comes to the receiver room. You start to look around that room a bit. Cupboard's starting to look a bit bare on guys who have had production at the NFL level. Some guys are going to have to step up. That's no stranger. And obviously Patrick Mahomes gets the best out of his guys. But it'll be interesting to see, as it already has been, that wide receiver room and how it develops. And there was a lot of guys that need to step up, and a lot of guys that we did see step up in the absence of Kadarius Toney during the highlights of practice on day 3. So let's go ahead and shift gears. Let's get into a better mood here as we look at the highlights from day 3 of Chiefs camp. First, I want to start off with this video. I got to camp early and I saw Justin Reid out here practicing his kicks, his field goals. You know that he had to come in a little bit handy last year for the Kansas City Chiefs team when it comes to extra points, but good to see him working on that as well. Now let's get into the actual plays, the actual practice, as Sky Moore takes this direct snap here and kind of does a fake handoff, a little play action, and runs it up the middle for himself. Not the first time that we've seen him in the backfield. I believe they did it a little bit last year at training camp, and they also did it a couple more times today at training camp at practice as well. So just a wrinkle that teams are going to have to look for now with Sky Moore in the backfield. Going to be very interesting to see how the Chiefs do use Sky Moore, as I mentioned, with Kadarius Toney being sidelined for what it seems to be up until the first week of the season. And here's another Sky Moore rep. One of the reps that I'm very excited to see Sky Moore be used a whole lot in the red zone. This was during the red zone team session. You see his route, a little double move that's able to get himself open here. Now they are running this against, coaches and on air, but good looking route from Sky Moore there, and he's able to haul in the pass from Patrick Mahomes. I want to see a whole lot more of that from Sky Moore this year. So let's go to the defensive side of the ball. I think the defense had the best practice that I've seen so far in the 3 days that they've been out there at camp. It was really a defensive day as Nick Jones intercepts Patrick Mahomes right here. Good little pick from Nick Jones to read the eyes of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick knew as soon as he threw it that, hey, that probably shouldn't have been thrown, but love to see the young guy get in there and get an interception. But Patrick Mahomes bounces back with this play right here. And listen, it wouldn't be a training camp highlight time if we weren't talking about Rashee Rice catching a touchdown pass. Because listen, that seems what he's been doing so far during these 7-on-7 periods, during team sessions. He's been able to get open and make these catches. Now, again, a great ball from Patrick Mahomes. If you saw the pass yesterday that Patrick Mahomes had to Rashee Rice, an absolute dot. This is also another great pass. But they're very high on Rashee Rice's ability to high point balls, to catch balls, to hit, and his ball skills are just very high. Very excited to see what he can do and create. Maybe if he can create some more separation, has more of those opportunities. And this is a play here too. This next one, Mahomes takes off. It looks like a designed run here for Patrick Mahomes. It's fun, kind of a fun one to see, but ankle looking fine. Good to see it. I love it when Patrick Mahomes kind of takes off. Obviously, the lasting impression from last season will be his scramble when he, was on a hurt leg, one ankle and all. He scrambled all the way down to kind of help seal the game for the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. A very fun one. Love to see some Mahomes making some plays. Finally, one of the biggest storylines that came out of the season last year was Frank Clark helping George Karlaftis and a lot of the young pass rushers kind of take a step after practice, and they were working on a lot of things after practice. Times where they didn't have to be on the field, they were still on the field. You get to see a little bit of Trip McDuffie, L'Jarius Sneed. Now, Trip McDuffie's still a young guy, in his second year, but he stepped up to the podium yesterday and said, hey, look, I know I've got to be that veteran. I've got to be able to teach these guys, and he's doing that with Nick Jones right here. Him and L'Jarius Sneed kind of teaching him the ropes a little bit, doing some more drills after practice gets done to stay sharp and hone their skills a little bit. Love to see McDuffie and Sneed with the rookie Nick Jones on that one. All right, that's going to do it for today's KCSN update. Hopefully you got up to date on everything that's going on with Chiefs Kingdom. Really appreciate you watching this video, sticking with us all the way until the end. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and be a friend. Tell a friend, as Pat McAfee would say. Share the video with one of your Chiefs buddies if you did enjoy this content. We're going to be keeping you up to date on everything you need to know coming from Chiefs training camp. So follow us on Twitter at KC Sports Network. We'll have the live nuggets, the news nuggets, the clips coming out, and all the highlights that you need to know there. Follow us there on Twitter at KC Sports Network. And obviously subscribe here. I'm going to be doing one of these videos every single day that the Chiefs are at practice. We'll have a video out recapping it for you, just so you know what's going on for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you can sound a little bit smarter to your friends too. That's always a lot cooler when you sound like you know what you're talking about. We're here for you. We're here for you here at KC Sports Network. So make sure, let us know in the comment section what you think about Kadarius Toney's injury. Want to know what you guys think? Go ahead and sound off down there. Very curious to your guys' thoughts on Kadarius Toney and the wide receiver room as a whole. And if you're interested in kind of the wide receiver room, BJ Kissel and I sit down. We talk about it a little bit on the audio platforms for KC Sports Network. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find the conversation BJ Kissel and I have about this wide receiver room for the Kansas City Chiefs. Incredibly interesting what's going to shake out and kind of what the Chiefs have to do for a productive season this year. So we dive into all that on the audio platforms on the podcast. So make sure you subscribe there as well. We really appreciate all the support you guys have given us at KC Sports Network. It makes us going to camp so much fun, knowing that you guys love what we do, and we really appreciate it. So until next time, I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I'll talk to you later.